nerveux.
If you want to understand fast-paced spoken French without missing a word, watching French movies is one of your best tools. So today we are breaking down a scene from the hit French comedy Intouchables. Keep watching to find out what happens when a quadriplegic billionaire hires a new personal assistant.
Je rentre pas là-dedans. Même pour vous. Je vais pas vous charger à l'arrière comme un cheval. Ça, c'est quoi, là?
Non, celle-là, elle est beaucoup moins adaptée. Hein.
C'est-à-dire?
C'est-à-dire que malheureusement, il faut être pragmatique.
Pragmatique? Oh putain! Oh le bruit là! Oh, ça fait du bien ça!
C'est bon ça?
C'est bien! Elle est nerveuse! Allez!
Ça, c'est encore le voisin, il se met tout le temps là. Non, mais il est persuadé que c'est son parking alors. Ah, ça va peut-être changer là.
Avec une émulsion de foie gras, de prendre...
Bonjour, ça va?
Quoi?
Je te dérange pas, Patrick Juvet, tu veux un café? Tiens, fais voir ça.
Quoi?
Fais-le, on voit. Viens là. Vas-y, lis.
Prière de pas stationner.
Plus fort, j'entends pas.
Prière de pas
C'est
stationner.
la bonne méthode ça.
Lis tout.
Emplacement réservé?
Voilà, maintenant, t'imprimes, et tu dégages. Allez, hop.
Now let's break down the key words and expressions.
Je rentre pas là-dedans.
Là-dedans means inside there. Sometimes people get confused about the difference between là-dedans and dedans, but you just have to remember that là means there. So là-dedans means inside there, while dedans just means inside. So Driss is saying, I'm not putting you inside there.
Je rentre pas là-dedans. Même pour vous. Je vais pas vous charger à l'arrière comme un cheval.
Charger means to load. For example, on doit charger la voiture avant de partir. We have to load the car before we go. À l'arrière means in the back. Now, if you're translating directly from the English, in the back, you might be tempted to use the preposition dans. But notice the preposition here is à, so it should be à l'arrière. And of course, un cheval is a horse. So the whole sentence is, I'm not going to load you into the back like a horse.
Même pour vous. Je vais pas vous charger à l'arrière comme un cheval. Ça, c'est quoi, là?
Ça, c'est quoi là? Means, what's this here? Normally, to say, what's this, you'd be more likely to say, qu'est-ce que c'est? Or, c'est quoi ça? But here, Driss says, ça, c'est quoi? Literally, this, what is it? This construction has a slightly different shade of meaning, because by putting the subject at the beginning of the sentence, it actually puts a bit more emphasis on the subject. In this case, the hidden car.
Ça, c'est quoi, là?
Non, celle-là, elle est beaucoup moins adaptée. Hein.
Adapté means adapted or suitable. So Philippe is saying that the other car is much less adapted to his condition. Notice that Philippe says celle-là instead of celui-là, and that adapté is spelled with two E's. This is because the subject is feminine. Even though it hasn't been said explicitly, the subject is la voiture. So the rest of the sentence has to agree with that.
Non, celle-là, elle est beaucoup moins adaptée. Hein.
C'est-à-dire?
C'est-à-dire means that is to say, in the sense of, what does that mean? Notice the pronunciation here too. He doesn't actually say c'est-à-dire. He says c'est-à-dire. Little vowel sounds like this get left out all the time in casual spoken French. And the more casual the conversation, the more vowels get left out. When you're used to reading French or listening to French on a language learning app where everything is pronounced perfectly, adjusting to real spoken French can be a very steep learning curve. So the best way around this is to learn directly from real-world French. And that's how FluentU teaches you a language. On FluentU, you learn by watching videos, like movie scenes, TED Talks, or music videos. So you learn French the way it's actually spoken by native speakers. And unlike watching videos on YouTube or Netflix, all the videos on FluentU have interactive subtitles. So if you're not familiar with a word, you can just click on it and instantly see the definition. You can also use flashcards and personalized quizzes to help you lock in everything you're learning. I recommend you give it a shot so you can get a taste for this different way of learning. If you click on the link in the description below this video, you'll get a free trial for 2 weeks. Give it a shot and let me know what you think.
C'est-à-dire?
C'est-à-dire que malheureusement, faut être pragmatique.
Malheureusement means unfortunately or sadly. If we break it down, heureux means happy, so malheureux means unhappy, which means that malheureusement is unhappily or unfortunately. For once, French actually makes sense. Next, pragmatique is just like the English word pragmatic or practical. So the whole sentence is, well, that is to say that unfortunately, you have to be pragmatic.
C'est-à-dire que malheureusement, faut être pragmatique.
Pragmatique? Oh putain!
Putain is a very versatile French curse word. It can be used in lots of different ways, and if you get to know French people well, especially young people, you'll hear it all the time. But be aware that it is a vulgar word, so save it for the right moment.
Pragmatique? Oh putain! Oh le bruit! Oh, ça fait du bien ça!
C'est bon ça?
C'est bien!
The expression faire du bien means to feel good. For example, if you were outside on a hot day, you could say ça fait du bien de se reposer à l'ombre. It feels good to rest in the shade.
Oh le bruit! Oh, ça fait du bien ça!
C'est bon ça?
C'est bien! Elle est nerveuse!
Usually, nerveux would mean nervous, just like in English. But since they're talking about a car here, it means that the car is very responsive and lively.
Elle est nerveuse!
Ça c'est encore le voisin, il se met tout le temps là.
Il se met literally translates to he puts himself, from the verb mettre, meaning to put. But in English, we'd be more likely to use the word sit here. So I'd translate this sentence as, oh, that's the neighbor again. He always sits there.
Ça c'est encore le voisin, il se met tout le temps là. Non mais il est persuadé que c'est son parking alors.
Être persuadé means to be convinced of something. So Philippe is saying that the neighbor is convinced that this is his parking spot.
Non mais il est persuadé que c'est son parking alors.
Ça va peut-être changer là.
La can be used to designate a point in space or in time. In this case, it's designating a point in time, so it means now or about to. Since Dries just got out of the car and clearly means business, Philippe is saying that his neighbor's belief that this is his personal parking spot might be about to change.
Ça va peut-être changer là.
Avec une émulsion foie gras, de prendre...
Bonjour, ça va?
Quoi?
Ça te dérange pas, Patrick Juvet, tu veux un café?
If you were wondering, Patrick Juvet isn't actually the neighbor's name. Patrick Juvet was a Swiss pop singer who was big in the 1970s. So Dries is making a joke at the neighbor's expense, because with the long blonde hair, he kinda looks like Patrick Juvet. So altogether, Dries is saying, "Hi, how are you? I'm not disturbing you, Patrick Juvet? You want a cup of coffee?" By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please give us a like and don't forget to subscribe to the FluentU French channel for more videos.
Avec une émulsion foie gras, de prendre...
Bonjour, ça va?
Quoi?
Ça te dérange pas, Patrick Juvet, tu veux un café? Tiens, fais voir ça.
Quoi?
C'est lourd, quoi.
Fais voir means let me see. Fais is the verb faire in the imperative form because it's a command. For example, if you thought someone was hiding something, you could say, fais voir tes mains. Let me see your hands. Lis is the verb lire, also conjugated in the imperative form because again, it's a command. So altogether that's, here, let me see that. Come here. Go ahead, read.
Tiens, fais voir ça.
Quoi?
C'est lourd, quoi. Viens là, viens là, viens là. Vas-y, lis.
Prière de ne pas se lâcher.
Plus fort, j'entends pas.
Prière de is a very formal way of saying please. You pretty much only see it on signs. In this case, they're looking at a sign like this one, which is very common in France and reads Prière de ne pas stationner. No parking, please. The phrase plus fort literally translates to more strong, but what it actually means is louder. Here, he's telling the neighbor to say it again louder, but you could also say mets la musique plus fort. Put the music on louder.
Viens. Vas-y, lis.
Prière de ne pas se lâcher.
Plus fort, j'entends pas.
Prière de ne pas se
C'est la bonne méthode, ça.
C'est la bonne méthode, ça means that's the way to do it. This is a good example of how the French often put ça at the ends of sentences to add emphasis. C'est la bonne méthode would just be like saying, it's the way to do it. But c'est la bonne méthode, ça is like saying, that's the way to do it. We had another example of this earlier in the scene.
Oh, oh, ça fait du bien, ça.
C'est bon ça.
C'est bien.
The extra ça adds emphasis and more or less changes the sentence from it feels good to that feels good.
Prière de ne pas se
C'est la bonne méthode, ça.
Lis tout.
Emplacement réservé.
An emplacement is just a fancy word for a parking place. So emplacement réservé means reserved parking place. Again, it comes from this sign, which is very common in France.
Lis tout.
Emplacement réservé.
Voilà, maintenant, t'imprimes et tu dégages. Allez, hop.
Imprimer means to imprint. So he's telling the neighbor to imprint this sign into his brain. Imprimer can also mean just to print. So the French word for a printer is une imprimante. Dégage means get out. For example, prends tes affaires et dégage. Take your stuff and get out. There's also something interesting about the way Driss is addressing the neighbor. Listen closely.
Voilà, maintenant, t'imprimes et tu dégages. Allez, hop.
Did you catch it? He's saying tu to the neighbor, even though the neighbor is a complete stranger. Normally, you would always use the formal pronoun vous with someone you don't know. So this is a clear sign of disrespect. Not that shoving his head into a parking sign wasn't already. Now, I'm hoping you're learning a lot from this video, but I'm also hoping that you'll remember as much as possible so that you'll recognize these words and expressions when you next encounter them. So, we made a free PDF that goes over everything in this video. Just click the link in the description to download it. Now it's time to watch the whole scene again without subtitles to test what you've just learned.
Je monte pas là-dedans. Même pour vous. Je vais pas vous charger à l'arrière comme un cheval. Ça, c'est quoi, là?
Non, celle-là, elle est beaucoup moins adaptée. Hein.
C'est-à-dire?
Bah, c'est-à-dire que malheureusement, faut être pragmatique.
Pragmatique? Oh, putain! Oh, le bruit, là! Oh, ça fait du bien, ça!
C'est bon ça.
C'est bien! Elle est nerveuse! Allez!
Ah, ça c'est encore le voisin, il se met tout le temps là. Non mais il est persuadé que c'est son parking alors.
Ah, ça va peut-être changer, là.
Avec une émulsion foie gras, de prendre.
Bonjour, ça va?
Quoi?
Je te dérange pas, Patrick Juvet, tu veux un café? Tiens, fais voir ça.
Quoi?
C'est lourd, toi. Viens là. Vas-y, lis.
Prière de ne pas se lâcher.
Plus fort, j'entends pas.
Prière de ne pas se
C'est la
lâcher.
bonne méthode, ça.
Lis tout.
Emplacement réservé.
Voilà, maintenant, t'imprimes et tu dégages. Allez, hop.
Watching French TV shows or movies like Intouchables is a really fun way to improve your French. So, we made a list of the 10 best shows to learn French on Netflix. Check it out in this video right here. Allez, à bientôt!